Happy Monday, everyone. I wanted to come on here today because I had a personal revelation about something, and I know that I'm not the only one that deals with this, especially at an adult level, but there are also parents that have children that deal with the same issue. And I want to give sort of a testimonial about it to give you all the little pieces and how it came together today. So I have always had ADHD since I was a little girl. And the shortened version of what my pediatrician had told my mom when I was little was that either I can put your daughter on ADHD medication and she can be a zombie every day, or you can take sugar away from her. And so my mom, thank God, chose the natural health approach and made sure that she did everything I could not to have sugar. And guess what? She always knew when I had sugar because my behaviors would change, especially in school. I was a straight A student and would have like minuses on my behaviors anytime that I would sneak sugar at lunch. She just always knew. Or if I went to someone's house and I had sugar there, again, she always knew because my behaviors would change. So that's a part of it. Second part of it was I grew up in a home. My mom's ex-husband was in the military and had very strict home rules, very strict discipline. And so throughout my life, those disciplines have served me in the ADHD department, meaning it has taught me, especially now as an adult, how to structure out my life so that I don't get sidetracked, so that I can stay focused, especially on my business and goals and my clients and their needs. And there's just so many little facets that come together, a big whole, where someone with ADHD, that can make you nuts, right? And when your brain does that, it throws you off, like you're all over the place, or what people would call scatterbrained. So that discipline has truly helped in those areas. However, on the other side of that, God has gifted me with a lot of creativity. I was born artistic. I used to paint a lot as a child. I painted, as I was growing up when I was in college. I drew a lot. When I was little, I used to write little storybooks. I wish I kept those because I could have published them now. I have no idea what they were because I threw them out years ago. I didn't feel I needed them anymore, but I wish I had them today because it really would have taken me back to that creative space that I lived in then. I also used to spend a lot of time outside, and I would get these mushrooms, and on the mushrooms I would draw pictures with sticks, and I was just so creative then. It was the time of my freedom, right? So here's that creativity, which is, you'll find a lot of children and adults who have true ADHD are also very creative minded, and teachers and parents often try to stifle that. They try to block it out, shut it down, and they don't realize how trying to medicate and or structure ADHD in itself hinders them from their creative minds. And so that was my personal revelation today, because I have been struggling in the last few years with my creative self. There's been so many things that I've wanted to do or get back into, and I just have this blocker, and I could not figure out what it was that has been blocking me. And so some of those things are, I even have canvases in my house, like painting canvases. I have paints. I have paintbrushes, everything that I bought in the last couple years because I said I wanted to get back to painting. That was such a beautiful space within myself when I was younger, and I really wanted to bring that back out of me. I've been wanting to write books again, but every time I want to write a book, I get like this blocker, and I couldn't figure it out until today. And I was listening to something this afternoon, and the woman that was talking on this live was talking about discipline, and I had a personal epiphany. I have become so structured in my life for my business, in my life for things that I also do in my personal life. I've created such a structure of such discipline that it is literally stifling that creative self, that the things that I'd love to do, the painting and the writing. Yesterday, well, let me back up a little bit. I love sitting outside, but I can't tell you the last time I took pen and paper with me when I sat outside. So sitting outside is my happy space, my safe space, my free space, right? And so I was feeling such a block yesterday, but I had to work on a project. I needed my creative self to just fly, right? I needed my pen to just write without thinking, just go off of spirit and let spirit go on that paper. And so spirit said to me, go outside. And so I did. And I went and I sat out in my backyard and I got my paper and I got my pen and I just wrote. It just flowed. Like spirit just gave me so many things to write down on that paper. So between that moment yesterday and today, the woman talking about how too much discipline can block the creative mind, it was like, oh my goodness. I've been blocking myself from tapping back in to that creative space that God has gifted me with. And so now what I need to personally work on is not that I need to take away structure completely, but I need to open up my creative self to the point where I don't allow those disciplines and structures to interfere. I have to create a time and a space for both because you need both. It's just each of us is different as to like the percentage of both that we need based on our lifestyles, based on maybe our careers, our personal lives. It's going to look different. So as I do that for myself, if you have been feeling the same way, you've been feeling stuck, and you are somebody who is diagnosed ADHD or any other type of medical condition that actually has a lot of creativity with it in the mind, I encourage you to walk on this journey with me. Sit down, say to yourself, where am I blocking myself? And I encourage you to sit in that. Write down everything that comes to mind, everything that comes to spirit. Go to your safe space. Go outside, wherever your space is, where you feel like your most creative self. Sometimes it's just being in the car. I find a lot of times that is where my creative self comes out most. It's when I'm sitting in my car with fresh air all around me, and it's just amazing what happens there. So that's my encouragement to you, is jump on this journey with me and let's rock this out. Let's get back to our creative selves and stop blocking the gifts that God has given us just because of a medical diagnosis. All right. I love you guys. Let's rock. Have a blessed day.